Welcome to Queer Next, the podcast that puts the yeehaw in y'all means all. I'm your host, Beck.
And I am your host, Dash. Welcome to today's episode.
I don't know that I could be any cozier. I'm here in my recliner that has been my home base for, it's over a month now. My parents sent me a heated throw.
Oh, nice. Shanna bought me new slippers this week, too.
Hell yeah. Are they pink and fuzzy?
No, they're black, actually, and fuzzy.
I know I told you that story before about how grandmother bought us house shoes, I think just to try to like antagonize our mom a little bit. But there's more to it because they did it for David first because he was the favorite. He was everybody's favorite. And they bought him these quilted camouflage. Like, just imagine being a 6-year-old boy and somebody hands you the coolest house shoes you've ever fucking seen. And I saw them and I was like, I want some of those so bad. And so I talked about it. I told them, like, well, they took me out shopping or whatever, and they're like, what do you want? What do you want? And at home, we were never asked that question, right? Like, what would you like? What do you want? And so I couldn't think of anything except I want some house shoes like David's. And mine were not fucking camouflage and awesome. They were pink, like bright fuchsia pink with fuzzies around the top. Have you seen the Wicked movie, the first half of it?
No.
Well, you've probably seen pictures or memes or whatever, but there's a pink robe that Ariana Grande wears around for several scenes in that movie, and that's what they were like. And I was like, these things are never touching my feet. I was so pissed off because I was so excited. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have the things like David had. This is gonna be great. Nope.
Oh.
I don't know what happened to him. Probably some cousin got him.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels personal.
Yeah. After a while, they didn't buy me the girly stuff anymore because they knew that I wouldn't even go near it. I've always been at least a tomboy since early.
Do you remember when that happened?
I remember getting my hair cut off for the first time when I was 5 or 6. So I had really short hair all through elementary school.
And that's how early they let you off the hook about girl stuff, or did they keep trying to push it?
Mom was still trying to push it when I got into grad school. Like, that was what she said to me, that we were gonna have to woman me up.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Me too. I remember going home for holidays and things, and Mom would, for a long time there, she would buy us clothing. Me and Vanessa, David had been dead for 5 years, I think, by the time I moved up there to Bowling Green. And she would buy Vanessa, like, women's clothing, right? Obviously. And then I remember once they went back to Mom's bedroom and they were in the closet back there looking through clothes, and then Mom would, like, yell so that I could hear her, well, if she would just dress like a girl, she could have these. Was speaking to me. She was addressing me directly.
Oh.
And I would by then, I was like, I didn't respond to it. I ignored it entirely, just pretended like I didn't hear her.
Yeah.
There were some, I wasn't always that mature though, or whatever you want to call that. There were some times where I would just be like, I'm not going to do that. Now what?
I stopped wearing dresses at a very early age, but my mom was okay with that because she had to wear dresses her entire childhood where she was raised Pentecostal. And so she didn't want to force that on me. So I never had to wear dresses or anything like that. That was never a big deal. But she wanted me to wear like pink things. Like when my sister got married, they put me in a Pepto-Bismol pink dress with a giant bow on it. And I was the most miserable 11-year-old there was. There's a picture of me floating around on Facebook in that dress. I'll have to send it to you. It's pretty hilarious.
You better. I want to see that. I mean, I wasn't going to ask because if you didn't want anybody to see it, then obviously you don't have to let anybody see it. But if you're offering.
My 8th grade prom picture is pretty hilarious too. It's a black and white dress and there's little white poofs on my shoes and stuff. I was all dolled up.
8th grade prom?
That's what you do in Appalachia.
We didn't have an 8th grade prom.
Yeah, we had an 8th grade prom.
Listeners, let us know what was your first prom? We had one in junior, it was senior prom, but juniors were allowed to attend.
Yeah. The juniors planned it at my school.
Yeah, it was like planned for the senior class, and only way somebody who was younger than that could go is if they were as a date.
Right. Yep.
So I went to prom twice. It was 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I went to junior and senior prom, but, I mean, I had a date for both of those. I didn't have a date for the 8th grade prom, but I did for the other 2. So, I had 2 dates for 1 prom. That was a mess.
Wait, what?
My
What happened?
my beard, Jonas and I were gonna go together, right? And so he had already got his tux and everything, and then I went and got a boyfriend, and I was like, "Well, I want my boyfriend to take me," and Jonas was like, "I already got my tux. I'm going." And so me and Jonas went. I met up with my boyfriend afterwards. So weird to come out of my mouth, "My boyfriend." Weird.
Yeah, for me too. It's not often I talk about ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
2/3 of them are trans men. I'm pretty sure. I've only dated one cis man. I don't know. No, that's not true because there was that one I talked about last week that was like kind of forced on me, the the farm boy. So I didn't necessarily choose him. There was one cis man I chose to date, and it
Right.
was in high school. So the semester is nearly over. That's
Woohoo!
weird.
Yeah. I'm very excited. This semester has been long. I canceled classes 2 days this week because I was sick. So now I'm behind in all of my classes too, on top of everything.
Oh,
And
that's rough.
next week is Thanksgiving. I always build in a day at the end of the semester in case that happens, so that I can get caught up. I call it the paper review day, and if we need to have lecture or whatever, I can still do that, and we can still do the paper review really short. But yeah, I build it in so that we have a day for a cushion.
Are they gonna give you any interesting classes next semester?
Nope, I'm still well, I mean, my classes, what I've been teaching, women's studies and ethnic studies, intro to both of them. My first semester, they taught or, like, not my first semester teaching, but my first semester as faculty and not an adjunct, they also had me teach a section of American Cultural Studies.
Was I've been like nostalgic for teaching this week, being like going back into the academic side of higher ed for a semester,
Right.
getting to have conversations about my research that are really interesting. And I've been watching, more movies and trying to just be a generally happier version of myself. And I was thinking about this time I taught a film class at EKU. It was a film class, but it was in the WGS department. So it was a special upper level special topics course, film course for non-majors, basically. And so when you do that, you have to teach them a bit about film studies, right? About film theory, because they're obviously not going to know. I can't assume that they would know the things they need to know to be successful in the class. So the first couple of weeks is a smattering of kind of like film analysis, film methods 101. And then as I introduce content, I pair it with more information about theory and method. And just the course was on monsters in the context of identity, the way, monsters is metaphor for various identities and things. And when you talk about figures and bodies on a screen, uh, which is a big part of horror, you have to talk about mise en scène. And mise en scène is just anytime something is framed on a screen, it just means what's visible, basically. But in terms of signification, like how it produces meaning, it's really, really visible and accessible in horror. And so I just happened to be teaching mise en scène, and I asked them if any of them had seen Insidious, those James Wan movies from the 2010s,
Mhm.
because Wan does a really good job with playing with that. And not a one of them had. And there's a very famous scene in that first Insidious movie where like it's got Barbara Hershey in it too, which is amazing. She's like it was so cool to see her. She's in a scene with her son, played by Patrick Wilson, and they're seated across a dinner table. And already that's a very charged situation. The dinner table signifies family, right? And like these mother, son, they're having a tense conversation about something she didn't want to talk about, some sort of trauma in their past and things she wanted to try to. It can be read as homosexuality, right? Like it can be read as a family secret, like that she was trying to suppress. And the cuts, it's almost imperceptible. Each time it cuts between one and the other, we're a little bit closer. We're a little bit tighter on the frame. So it builds the tension or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it cuts to her, and there's something happening in the score. And there's a door visible behind her. And behind him, it's just a wall. And we cut back to him, and there's this awful monster right behind over his shoulder, breathing in his ear. So like she has seen it, and we see her seeing it, and we're like, oh, something's there, but it's a split second. Next thing we know, it's flipped back around and we're seeing it too. and it's just a very famous jump scare. Like, everybody knows this as it's I realized they hadn't seen it, and I was like, "Well, I need to show y'all Mise en Scène anyway," so I just pulled it up on YouTube because there's a million versions of it. It's a very famous scene. And so I scared the bejesus out of 20 WGS majors at 9 a.m. One of my all-time favorite memories. That was so evil, and I would do it again every single time.
That's hilarious. The most horrific thing I've done to students is have them watch a live, not a live birth, but like a birth in a movie. There's Ricky Lake put out a movie called The Business of Being Born, and I think there's something like 5 babies
Oh,
born in that movie, and they show you the whole thing and their faces. Oh, it's fantastic. I can't recommend it enough.
I've never heard of it, but I just searched it up. It's on Netflix?
Probably.
Cool.
Yeah.
Add that to watch list. Yeah, that's something that, well, that features heavily in the horror genre as well because birth is very traumatic.
Yeah. I know in my school, in the 6th grade, they separated the boys and the girls. The boys went out and played dodgeball or some shit, and they put all the girls in one room, and we all had to watch a video of a birth. Like, I'm still scarred from that. Like, full frontal showing you the whole thing.
That's some scared straight shit.
Yeah, for real. Like, I'm pretty sure that's one of my gay roots.
Oh, speaking of gay root, we were kind of joking, kind of not, talking about reviewing a movie on the podcast and put out a call and got kind of a lot of suggestions for movies people want us to review. A lot of them came on Facebook. A couple, if you're on Blue Sky, we're on there too. I kind of forgot about it. And then I just posted on there randomly and somebody answered. So we haven't talked yet about how to choose from those. I think it's only fair if we ask the people's opinion that we choose it, that whatever we choose is something that was suggested by a listener. There's several different ways we could slice this bread. So some people, certain films were recommended more than once. That's one way. Just do a content, a tally. Another is to choose randomly. Another is to arrange them all in a system that folks then vote on. This would be so much easier if we had a Patreon, but it can still be done.
It came to my attention that you've not seen Muriel's Wedding.
I haven't.
Oh, that's terrible. You should really watch Muriel's Wedding. I first watched it when I was a freshman in college. It has Toni Collette in it. She's Muriel. And it's like her first role. She's unrecognizable. And it's set in Australia. It's fantastic. You're terrible, Muriel. I think it was like an independent Australian film because everybody in it is Australian.
Okay. Well, this looks delightful. That's something we could do. We could choose, because this is the only one that was recommended that I haven't already seen. We could pick 2, like one that I haven't seen and one that you haven't seen.
A lot of them I hadn't seen.
Yeah, and we'll choose one that's not a horror movie, which there weren't many suggested, but you have seen But I'm a Cheerleader, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. 'Cause you said gay root, and that's what made me think of it, because several
Yeah.
folks said that.
That's where I got it.
And we could also make a series of it and just if we decide, we can make a list and pluck one off of it. But yeah, I'd be down for Muriel's Wedding. I will do anything Toni Collette says. She could order me off a bridge. The first thing I saw her in was about a boy, actually.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's based on a story by Nick Hornby, who was he the Fault in Our Stars dude? No.
No,
That's the High Fidelity guy. Okay, yeah. So I haven't read About a Boy, but I've seen that movie a bunch because an ex-boyfriend of mine was obsessed with that movie. And she plays the sort of unstable mother of Nicholas Holt's character.
got you.
And later, when I started to see her in other things, like Connie and Carla, she's the best part, maybe the only good part of that movie. I don't know, that's a little unfair. I know Nia Varlos is funny, and I know everybody loves My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but Toni Collette is like the reason I watched that movie more than once.
Right.
But then I was like, wait, who is this? I mean, I love her in this, but she looks familiar, and I put it together. She's unrecognizable in About a Boy to how she looks now and how she looks in everything else.
Yeah, that's how she is in Muriel's Wedding. You wouldn't know it was her. I can't believe that I found her that early because that was in '96 the first time I saw her.
Yeah, this came out in '94.
Yeah, my roommate introduced me to it. It was this movie and Romance on the Orient Express was another one of her favorites. She had a very eclectic taste in movies. The Women, the original Sabrina. Have you ever watched the original Sabrina with Humphrey Bogart?
No.
It's good.
For a film studies person, I'm not very literate in movies prior to '70s, '80s. I don't know a lot about old Hollywood, high Hollywood. I know a lot about movie history. I know a lot more about the history of Hollywood and the history of like the industry and film and stuff than I do about film. See, cats are. We fight over this recliner, and when I'm in it and my lap has something in it and they can't be in it, they act like absolute bastards.
Well, if that was your whole life, you would too.
Yeah. Let's give the wheel of what have you a spin and see. Okay, this is a pretty good one. Redneck repairs.
Redneck repairs.
Yeah.
My first Geo Metro,
What was it held together with mostly?
duct tape and cigarette cases, like empty cigarette packs that I rolled into like a cylinder kind of, and I stuck that under the front headlight so that it would stick up so it wouldn't be like cross-eyed where it was supposed to be. Or a tube of lipstick would work there, but you can imagine how often I had a tube of lipstick.
Did they fall out or were they the kind that are supposed to raise up?
Oh no, it was just broken. It was supposed to like be straight like that, and it was just like that.
Mine was cross-eyed too, but I assumed it was because of the deer I hit.
Oh yeah, that could be it too. I hit 2 deer, so I feel you. I've broken the window in almost every car I've ever owned. I don't know how, but I break the driver's side window in almost every car I have.
Wow. Well, I've only ever time I've broken windows was in a car accident with my head.
Ow.
Yeah, that was a interesting. Like my first trip to the emergency room was because of a car accident when I was 16, and it was a Ford F-100 that my dad used to have. Me and David worked at McDonald's, and I had already wrecked all the other vehicles that month, and so we had to take this truck to work, and it was so light in the back end, and he didn't know how to drive it, and it had been raining, but wasn't anymore. And he tried to take a curve too fast, and we just spun right around and went to a telephone pole. My dad told me one Christmas, he said, "Y'all about killed me off with them cars." I cannot imagine two teenage drivers going through every vehicle you own
Yep.
in like a 3-month period.
Yep. I wrecked my car several times. It usually wasn't my fault, but I got blamed for it. Like one time, I was at the shop. My parents were in Vegas. They went a few times when I was in high school. And there was like a blind corner behind the shop, like you couldn't see around it because it was an alley right up against the building. And so one time I was getting ready to go behind the building and go through there, and I kind of slowed down and honked my horn. And as soon as I entered the intersection, a car jammed me. And they said that because I was a teenager, that because I was underage, that they would charge me with it, which I never thought was fair. That doesn't mean it was my fault because I'm the underage driver. That's some bullshit.
Is that law or is that just bias?
That was in 1994, so who knows what it was in a small town.
Didn't you say that you had a house that was built around a trailer?
Well, yeah, my grandma and grandpa's house, my mamaw and papaw, their house was built out of 2 train trailers. They built a brick house around 2 train
Right.
trailers, and then my mom, it started out as just a single wide, but they built basically a house around it. They built on a couple of rooms and a deck on the back and all that kinda stuff. They put on a full front porch.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend whose dad, they had one like a mini trailer, like a tow behind, and he just built a house around it. And then that became the kitchen. So it just stayed part of the house. He never took the trailer out and made a wall there. And I remember when I saw that and I was like, wow, that is ingenious. And it was a weird house too because it was built in a circle.
Yeah. My dad basically built or cut the end of the trailer off, the end of the bedroom, and then the back door where it was, and built, 2 big rooms onto it, and then built the above ground deck. The deck was extensive, there was a pool and all that kind of stuff back there. It was really nice. The room that he built had vaulted ceilings, and he built, a place for his projection TV and all of his movies. The man probably had 1,000 movies that he had burned. That's one of the things I left there when I left. I didn't know what to do with all those movies. because he had a jailbroke, not Fire Stick, but, like, DirecTV, one of those boxes, one of those cards, and he would record movies, East Coast, West Coast, Central, like, all the different time zones, and he would get, like, all of the movies. He would burn 10, 12 movies a week, and they just build up, and he had so many movies, and he could remember them all. That was what was wild. He was one of the smartest men I ever knew in my life, and he never went to college.
I think that is where a lot of this, like, the reality and the mythology of the redneck repair and ingenuity comes from. There's that concept of functional fixity. If you've ever known anybody who really can't comfortably work without the correct tool for the job, that's the correct tool's never available to people without access to resources.
Right.
So whatever you have works.
That trailer, when they built Mamaw and Papaw's house, they put a crawl space under it, but they were all young and thin when they did it, and they didn't think ahead, and so they couldn't get under the house. Everybody got big beer bellies, and they couldn't get under the house, so they had to, fix the water, so they just reran the pipes in the ceiling. The water pipes ran through the ceiling in that place, which is one of the reasons, so I am not good with home ownership, apparently. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. Like, I knew that I needed to clear because that house was empty over the winter, and I knew I needed to clear the water lines, but I knew I needed to turn the water off, but I didn't know I needed to clear the water lines too. And so some water
Oh
got trapped
no.
in it, and the ones in the ceilings burst, and it busted the ceiling in. And so that's one of the things they had to do when they bought the house was redo that ceiling in the living room. But I'm sure they found a lot of interesting contraptions and jerry rigging it and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they found some interesting workarounds because my dad was a redneck Mr. Fix It.
Yeah, like one thing I remember is how many things can be accomplished with a zip tie or rubber band or so much of repair is fastenings. Um, and those that you might notice that anytime you get something that needs to be installed or something that requires assembly, they'll send you a very specific set of screws. They'll even send you the type of Allen wrench it needs or whatever. There's no reason for all that shit. Proprietary fastenings are part of price gouging. I believe I've told this story before about how I got you can't really call it being struck by lightning, but, I got zapped through the phone.
Oh, wow.
When we moved up on the mountainside, it was raw land, so everything that needed to be done up there, they had to put in the septic, they had to run electric up to the mountain.
That's how it was at our house too.
Yeah. I can't remember how it went with the telephone, but there was something with getting the pole in there. Something to do with, like, where the trailer was, it had to be in a very specific location, so it was really a tight squeeze. The telephone pole was up against my window, and because we had made David's bedroom out of part of a room, there was a front room in this trailer they bought. They enclosed it and made another bedroom so that he didn't have to share with either of us anymore. Because they made it out of a sitting room, it had a phone jack in it. When I saw that he had a phone jack and I didn't, I was really upset. I was like, "I'm the oldest, I should get a phone jack. I should be able to talk on the phone in my room." So, my dad understood that, and he decided to take care of it himself, and so he just ran a phone line. He ran his own there's a reason you can't do this shit. You're not supposed to do these things. So and he just drilled a hole in my wall, ran a line right out to the telephone pole outside my window, and there, you've got telephone now. And I don't know how long it was before we found the flaw in this getup. I was on the phone one night, and it was a real bad storm. They said, "Get off the phone," and I didn't do it, and there was a big flash, and it hit the telephone pole right out like, the one right outside my window. I was sitting there with it cupped to my ear, and it zoom in, and, it felt unusual, kind of hot, a lot like being punched or kicked in the head. But the power went out too because, everything. It zapped the whole house.
I wonder if your skeleton was eliminated like in the cartoons.
Maybe. But the because of the flash and stuff and my eyes were kinda burnt and then it went dark, I thought I had gone blind, and they were like, "No, the power's just out." But it hurt though, and I had an ear infection after that, and it had, like, perforated the eardrum, and there was scar tissue in there and
Oh,
things.
wow. That's crazy.
I remember this is the first time I had to take prednisone for an injury or something like that, for an illness. And I remember mom threw a big fit because she thought they said steroids. They didn't explain what it was. And so she thought that it was going to turn me into a man. And I was like, wait, what? Say that again. What do you mean I might turn into a man? All the like pearl clutching and hand wringing she did over my gender as a kid. I really am her nightmare.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the opposite of everything my mom wanted.
Uh, is it still like that for queer kids? It has to be, right? Like, I don't think that goes anywhere or has gone anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think it's uniquely Appalachian either. I think a lot of parents
Mhm.
just come up with plans for what they expect their child's life to be like, and then we're like, "Fuck you. I'm not doing any of that," you know? And
Yeah.
my mom would have been happy if I had just lived in a trailer with a husband and 3 kids and worked at Walmart, she would have been 100% happy with the way I turned out, but I turned out queer, and I wanted to go to school, and I'm just an alien from another planet, I was to her. You would think she didn't even tell people I was gonna be a doctor. She didn't even tell people that because she didn't know how to explain.
Oh, right. No, not the useful kind of doctor, mom.
Yeah.
The original kind, though.
Yeah.
Calling doctors of medicine, that's a euphemism.
Yeah.
That's not a doctor.
Yeah.
That's a professional degree. I was talking to my therapy bro, which is what I call my therapist, this afternoon about about the don't get above your raisin because it's so pervasive for white trash. I mean, it was for us. Also, that's one of those things I was talking about last week that we have in common with people of color 9 times out of 10, that whenever it gets to the conversation about that, of, like, parents not want like, the tension for them of wanting you to do better, but feeling as though if you do, that it lowers their status in some way.
Right.
There's a weird Uno reversi there. Long before I was capable of answering the question, a student I had at EKU asked me about that. We'd only been in school for maybe a few weeks, and he said, "What's your advice on what I should tell people back home who tell me that I think I'm too good to talk to them anymore? Like, what would make them tell me that about myself?" And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I would like nobody trained me on this. God, if only there was some sort of office I could send students to for emotional support, but there wasn't yet. Not back then.
Yeah.
But I still see it. The first year I worked there at EKU, it was in student support services. And I watched the poor white students in particular, they hung out in our office there all the time. I'd hear them on the phone with their parents every night until they cried, parents pressuring them to come home. "You're wasting your time there. You're going into debt for no reason. What have you learned today? What have you learned yet? If you'd stayed here, you could be making $10 an hour by now. Uncle whoever is going to get you on the manager track at Casey's." It was relentless. And without fail, a high percentage of them dropped out.
Yeah.
And he was like, his eyes got bigger and bigger as I talked. And I was like, you did, again, like you wondered what white trash was like, and now you're finding out. It makes you not want to tell the truth about it.
Yeah. They're like, "What are you gonna do with that?" Well,
I don't know. What have you done with your life?
right?
Where is your success? Like, should we throw down right now?
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't understand anything that I was doing after a bachelor's degree. The master's degree was okay, but the PhD was way too much in their eyes. I was just trying to be somebody I wasn't in their opinion, I think. Because my grandmother worked for a PhD and an MD, and I think they thought and my mom always cleaned house for him, and, I think she thought that they thought they were better than her or whatever, and she thought, I guess, I was gonna be the same way if I went into that field, which many of people have told me that I'm not typically what you think of when with somebody getting a PhD, and I'm like, "Well, this is what it looks like on me. I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah.
You know? I still cuss, I still make dirty jokes, I still say things that are inappropriate, I'm still a human being, and I'm still who I am. I'll burn you with some PhD level bullshit, but, and my
Yeah.
memes. I have PhD level memes.
Right, exactly. And my memes have student loan debt. Well, speaking of that, I guess I was on the TikTok, and that Mamaw down in North Carolina pulled her gun out on ice.
Oh, no, I didn't hear about that one.
Oh, it is such a cool story. Yeah, and ice, they think that have clearly thought anyway that they were just gonna roll on into Appalachia or the South or the Southeast or wherever, and I think they thought they had seen the worst of it with Chicago. So they're out there now. And the way this woman described it, she had paid some people to put up her Christmas lights for her. And she was sitting on the porch talking to them. And they were up on ladders and things. And I shows up trying to harass these people in the middle of them clearly working. And she goes, well, I asked them what they's doing, why they's bothering them, and, I pulled out my safety, which is what she calls the gun, apparently.
I love her, Mimo.
Oh, I love her. In her, moo-moo sitting there, she said, "Well, I was having my coffee." That, she ran them off, like, they said, "Nope,"
Good for her.
when they were right, yeah, absolute goals, just fucking rock star. But there's a newsreel of them interviewing her. She was just trying to narrate the situation, still in her nightie on the fucking nightly news or whatever, but she was, like, gonna speak her piece. She was like, "I'm gonna explain to you why I did this." And so she said, "Well, I had these 2 Hispanics," like, she paused before she used the word Hispanic. What that made me think of is she was saying a little prayer, like, "Please, God, I hope this is the respectful word to use." Because she's not in corporate America. She's not in white collar spaces where people like me give trainings on how to not get caught by HR
Right.
saying you're fuck ass white person shit. And if she ever had tried to maybe articulate this and did use a word that somebody took issue with, they're going to shut her down, not explain why, and she's going to wonder what's the point, because nothing's happening right now anyway. We're simply talking. There's nothing to be done. Why am I going to continue this with you? She did know what to do when she was sitting on the porch drinking her coffee with her gun down the pocket of her moo and eyes showed. I just hope they keep fucking around and finding out. Go
Yeah.
further out there.
I do love a Mamaw who doesn't take any shit.
I'm old, half naked, on my porch, barefoot, with my safety in my pocket.
Shanna's grandma was famous for sitting out on their front porch with just her bra and a pair of pants. Like, she freaking May was forever just sitting there in her bra on her front porch swing.
Her brow.
Yeah.
I noticed when I lived I had a little, that 2 acre down there, and it was on a creek, and hardly anybody saw me. And I went out to do things on the porch or in the yard in all kinds of states. It happened very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, I still let baby out in the middle of the night because baby has to go every 4 hours. She's a 100-pound peeing machine. She has to go out every 4 hours, so that means there's a lot of 4 AM and 5 AM let outs, and I don't care, I will let the dog out, and I live in a big old complex, I'll let her out with no pants on. If somebody it's no
Yeah.
different than being at the pool, I would show my legs at the pool, if somebody is too embarrassed to see my legs, well, don't look over here.
And how did you get here?
Yeah.
Are you confused about what we came here to do?
It's 5 o'clock in the morning and my dog's taking a piss, like, back off.
That's how I feel about the trans bathroom stuff.
Yeah.
Like the people who are the most upset about it are predictably kind of fat, red-faced dudes with thick handlebar mustaches. And I'm like, I don't want the answer to this question, but I am gonna, for the sake of academics, ask it. What do you think happens in women's public restrooms?
Right?
Tell the truth. Because I'm getting the feeling that you view them as deeply sexual places. And I don't want to know more about why that is.
Right. I would say, if you wanna talk about people sexually assaulting women, we can have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Yep. And, like, that's a conversation we can have because it's overwhelmingly, according to the statistics, heterosexual, usually white men who are doing this. It's not the drag queens. It's not the trans people. It's not all of those people. It is your kind. And it has been a real trick that you have turned it back around. It's the dominant paradigm allowing them to make up whatever narrative they want. We were talking about adoption today in my class. And one of the questions I asked my students is, where do you think this stereotype that gay people shouldn't adopt children or that they shouldn't be parents or whatever, where do you think this comes from in our culture? And a lot of them pegged religion and that kind of thing. And I said, even if it is because people think of gay sex and they're like, ew, that can't be the whole thing. I think it's a multifaceted thing, but we all agreed it's not a fair stereotype in any way. So at least the children get that.
That Megyn Kelly thing where she, everybody comes to defend Trump for being in the Epstein files, and she was like, it's essentially, God, I can't remember how she said it. Mostly, I just want to get to the brilliant and hilarious thing I said. she was basically saying like, well, they're 15, 16. Sometimes they look old. It's not like they're children, yada, 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 or whatever.
The difference between an
Um,
8-year-old and a 15-year-old is close to what she said.
right. Absolutely. Yeah. She's saying it's a febophilia, not pedophilia, that's the Gamergate bullshit logic. Like, does she know she's quoting the worst people on 4chan?
Yeah.
I've been trolling LEX18, like just the Kentucky newspapers on Facebook and stuff, calling her Megan R. Kelly.
That's funny.
Like, can we get Megan R. Kelly on a list somewhere?
I troll the news in West Virginia at the Huntington WSAZ.
It's a great way to spend time,
It is.
honestly.
I agree. But it's also why I don't go by my real name on the internet.
Exactly. Well, and it's not just anything, right? Like, I don't want to argue. I want to commit mild comedy hate crime against somebody who has it coming.
Exactly.
This is about me. Don't get confused.
It is sad how many of my comments get declined, though.
Somebody, I don't know if this was a Kentucky one or I'm getting some West Virginia stuff now though, because I think you invited me to a group. No, this was Kentucky because they were talking about Lexington. Posted about T-Door, Transgender Day of Remembrance, which was yesterday, and it just said such and such group holds Transgender Day of Remembrance, like the most neutral of titles about this thing, right? Totally unbiased. A thing happened. Here's a story about the thing that happened. And the comments were just like mental illness and groomers. And I was like, I was like, y'all realize that like this is what you want, right? This is a mass funeral. These folks are holding your Transgender Day of Remembrance as a mass funeral. You asked for this. If you don't want this on your timeline, stop talking about it.
Right?
Very rarely do people take me up on a fight though, which is fair. I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Let's take a break to hear from this week's sponsor. This week's episode of Queer Next is brought to you by Homebrewed Lye Soap. Soap that'll clean your body, your conscience, and the paint from your walls. Lye Soap is the original Appalachian exfoliant, handmade in a chipped enamel pot by somebody's Mamaw who swore by three things: strong coffee, strong opinions, and soap that could take a sinner down to the studs. It's got the texture of a dried biscuit and the attitude of a Pentecostal usher. Good for cleaning anything your mama would check before letting you sit on her good couch. This isn't your fancy lavender and oat milk gel that comes in a pump bottle. No, this is a brick of righteousness. A cleansing experience as pure as the day you were born. You'll come out clean and crying. Homebrew Lye Soap smells faintly of wood smoke, fat back, and a memory you can't quite place but definitely lived through. It's the soap that got generations through barn muck, hog handling, heartbreak, and whatever mystery substance was on your hands after prom night. Rural queers know if Mamaw hands you that Lye Soap, she wasn't asking what you've been up to, she's just handing you the cure. This soap does not clean, it removes dirt, shame, 2 layers of skin. It is exfoliation by divine intervention. Whether you're scrubbing off some garden grime, glitter from the drag show you accidentally went to, or the emotional residue of being raised within hollering distance of a church, Lye Soap has your back, and your eyebrows, and your fingerprints. We actually never washed with it because we knew how fucking intense it was. We mostly sold it, I think, actually. I don't know what she made it for. I mean, we did use it for house cleaning and cleaning like very intense fabrics and stuff or sanitizing, but yeah, we weren't allowed to wash with it. We were told it would eat a hole through your skin. Maybe that was just my mom's version, though.
Sounds intense.
It is, and she only made it inside the trailer the one time, and I will never forget that smell
Right.
because you have to render the fat, but it is literally lye, and it smells like, to me, like in my memory anyway. Granted, it's been 30 something years, but have you ever burnt your nose hairs by accident?
Yes.
That's the memory smell I
Mm.
have of lye soap,
Mm.
of lye soap being fixed up in our trailer. It was awful.
That's an awful smell.
What is lye?
Think it's a
Sodium
mineral.
hydroxide. Strong alkaline chemical compound. Highly caustic and corrosive. Well, that explains that. The debate over whether white people wash is going on online again.
I've heard that one about below the knee and things like that.
Yeah.
People are like, "That's where the dirt is. Why are you washing there?" I thought of that this morning as I was taking a shower, actually.
Me too. The first time I heard that debate, though, it was Trixie and Katya debating it on their I don't know if it was the podcast or if it was on, but there was the episode where Trixie learns that she has not been taking showers. She was like, "I just let it just runs down there, right? The soap goes down there, and then all of a sudden it's clean, right?" And Katya was like, "How would that even work?" Which is a good question. I was taught to scrub every part of me, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, where we live, though, like, you'd stink if you didn't. Maybe
Someti
it's white people that live in the North.
Sometimes you stink when you did because the well water would smell like sulfur.
Did you
Didn't
have well water?
Yeah, until I was in high school.
Oh, man, yeah. We did not. Like, our papa granny and papa did, but we didn't shower there much.
Yeah. Well, I lived on the same land as my mamaw and papaw, so but yeah, we had a well forever.
Well water, to me, I always associated well water with hollers and just sort of not necessarily poverty alone, but just kind of that lower echelon of access to nice things like treated water. But then I was dating this guy who was from Florida, not just from Florida, he was from a very, very affluent part by near West Palm Beach. He was from Jupiter, Florida. And I went down, after we'd been dating a while, I went down to stay with his family for a little while. And I learned that they all have well water. Because I remember walking in and I was like, I knew the smell instantly. And I was like, oh, okay. It smells like sulfur in here. It smells like well water. And they're like, yeah, we have well water. I had so strongly associated that with, you know, white trash or whatever, like my people. And here I walk into this, like, this was a quarter of a million or a $500,000 house
Wow.
with well water in it. And it was like they had some filter on the kitchen sink that would supposed to take the taste out of it. But yeah, that was eye opening to me. And maybe it's a Florida or maybe not a Florida thing, but coastal thing.
Right. It would make sense. Probably a lot cheaper than running in, like, city water, regardless.
And you can't having subterranean things there because it's basically sea level. So that you can't have a basement, and the sand there you were like there was laws about how you're allowed to even dig. I don't know. It's a weird place. Cool place, but that was strange.
I bet. I couldn't live there because of the crocodiles and shit. That's too much for me.
You know what's really creepy? Well, there's plenty of creepy things there, but the thing that scared the hell out of me the most, do you know about the coconut crab?
No.
Oh my god. I'm gonna send you a picture. These fucking things. Do you see this shit?
Yeah. Why does that exist?
That's a good question. Look at this, man. Look at the
Holy crap.
and they're called coconut crabs because they can crack coconuts open.
I guess.
And so they're the size of they can be the size of a trash can.
A small VW bug.
And they do that. They're the raccoons of Florida. They will rummage in your trash. Oh, these
Oh,
things.
that's
I mean,
disgusting.
I know. I'm very
Did you
sorry.
see one in real life?
Oh yeah, they'll cross the road. You have to stop like it's a deer, because it'll. I don't know if it really hurts your car because ultimately it's only what's it called where they have the shell?
Crustacean?
Crustacean. Well, we did actually hit one that was much smaller, and it makes us sound like you ran over a watermelon.
How would you ever get that smell out? Oh,
I mean, we were in his mom's convertible, so which is the only reason why I could hear it. But yeah, it was a little one. Because they just get. I mean, unless I don't think you're allowed to eat them.
eh,
I'm trying to think what else I mean, can you think of an animal or crustacean or whatever that is like you hope to never see in real life?
literally any snake.
Okay, okay, so it doesn't have to be venomous. Just it kind of gives you the creeps.
Every snake gives me the creeps.
It's only snakes for you.
Yeah, I can deal with spiders. I can deal with frogs. I can deal with apparently not with crabs. I hate an octopus with all my heart.
Yeah, something about like having too many legs really does it for
Yeah.
me. Like
What?
the wrong number of legs. I think being in the ocean scares me a lot because of like I don't have any. I'm the least in control of what touches me when I'm in the water.
Right.
Like I don't have any control over whether I'm in this spot or that spot. But these things that live here, they have all kinds of control. Like they can do whatever they want. This was the first time, not the first time I had been in the ocean, but when I was down there visiting him, he's like a Florida native. He's used to it there. He goes in the ocean all the time. And so we were on in the water playing or whatever. And then I couldn't swim. I still can't really swim, but at the time I definitely couldn't. And so I was sitting like facing him, sitting on his hips, like kind of weightless in the water. And he just had a hold of my legs like that. I could feel him moving, could feel his legs moving, but I assumed he was just a positioning or just moving, I didn't think anything to it because I just didn't expect this to happen. And we were talking, it was probably 20 minutes at least, maybe half an hour. And all of a sudden, I realized that I hadn't heard anybody, hadn't heard a sound except for the water in a really long time. And I had been looking at him. We were facing each other, and so then, like my peripherals, I just suddenly became aware of like my peripheral vision, and there's nothing for miles but ocean. And I was like, "Where are we?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've been swimming backwards this whole time." And so he had been swimming out to sea with me sitting on his hips, and I didn't know it. And I turned and looked behind me, and we were fucking 40 miles from the beach. Obviously, it wasn't 40 miles, but the beach was just like it looked like it could have just been the horizon. We were so
Oh,
far away
wow.
from it. And, and he knew I was afraid of the ocean. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he thought it would be funny. Maybe he'd never met anybody who was actually afraid of deep water. And I was like, and I looked down and I just realized like there's nothing down there but ocean. And I'm stuck in the ocean. And of course, started to freak out. And I was like, as soon as I don't need you to swim no more, I'm going to beat your ass. We actually didn't date much after that.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
I've been swimming backwards this whole time. Oh, okay.
Did you kick his ass a little bit at least?
We fought the rest of the time after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to get through the rest of the stay.
Ever since I had my uncle Timmy, he passed away down at the Outer Banks. He got caught in a tide and he went under, and he was one of the biggest, strongest men I knew. And if it can take him, it can take anybody. And so I'm kind of leery of the water.
Did you bring a noun of Appalachian input?
I absolutely did. I went with a fun one this week. All right. All right, y'all. This week's noun of Appalachian interest is something you probably know all too well if you grew up anywhere with more cows than stoplights, the community Facebook group. If you're not in one, bless you. If you are in one, bless you harder. Let me paint the picture. You join initially because you think you're going to get helpful information, maybe the trash schedule, maybe why the fire trucks went by at midnight, innocent things. You stay because the next thing you know, you're trapped in a digital holler run by a retired woman named Linda who moderates like she's guarding the nuclear codes. Inside the group, the logic does not exist. None. This is where rumor, gospel, and pure Appalachian imagination all share one brain cell. First up, lost pet posts. It's not just my dog got out. No, it's Milo's been missing since Thursday. He's afraid of storms, men in hats, and the color chartreuse. Please clap softly if you see him. And then there's always someone who comments following like they're waiting for plot updates, as if Milo's running a serialized drama from behind the shed. Then you get the mystery sightings. Somebody posts a grainy night vision picture of a shadow in their yard. Looks like a smudge on a camera lens. Within 20 minutes, the comments identify it as a bear, a coyote, the devil, the mayor, Bigfoot, or Gary from down the road who just walks funny but means well. And then there's the crime updates, which are never actually updates. Does anybody know why the sheriff's at the Dollar General? And that post will have 187 comments, 4 conspiracy theories, 3 accusations, and at least one lady insisting that it's aliens. And then there's my favorite thing, the I heard a boom roll call. If you've never experienced this, someone hears one loud noise, and suddenly the comment section turns into a multi-county emergency operations center. People jump in like, yep, nope, I heard it over in Scioto County. Well, I say it's probably a meth lab or a backfiring four-wheeler, hard to tell from here. And there's always one guy claiming it shook my porch swing like he's reporting live for the Weather Channel. It's the wildest mix of breaking news, gossip, misconnections, public shaming, and Tupperware sales you will ever see. Now, there are a few unspoken rules. Number 1, you never name names, but everybody knows exactly who you mean. Some people who live near the old dairy bar, and you know everybody's picturing the same cousin. Number 2, every argument, no matter how petty, ends with somebody saying, I'm just concerned for the community, which is Appalachian for I absolutely started this. And number 3, someone always comments prayers even when the post is about potholes. So here's why it's Appalachian. It's chaotic, nosy, caring in the sideways kind of way, and nobody ever turns off the notifications, even though we all swear we're gonna. The community Facebook group is basically our natural habitat. Half neighborhood watch, half Walmart parking lot, half soap opera. And yes, that's 3 halves, but math doesn't apply in the digital holler. So that's your noun of Appalachian interest this week, the community Facebook group.
I'm not in any from back home. I'm not in any like specific community Facebook groups. Well, I did join. I was trying to sell a treadmill, and so I joined a couple groups here. They're not particularly good. They're it's actually it's literally just people trying to sell things. They're like
Right.
such and. But there's the occasional thing. There's one for the town that the college is in, and there's the occasional drama. But I saw a lot of bots in there. Those bots that are so I think that they're not as popular now as they were, but there was an AI bot that would program a comment, something effective like, "I'm a Democrat, been a Democrat my whole life, but" oh, it was after Charlie Kirk's assassination. "But I'm just so disappointed and embarrassed by the way our party is handling this. I'm switching my vote." As if people do that. When is the last time
Right.
like, the number of people who've changed their party is it is certainly that I'm gonna tell the truth about it because 'cause I'm pretty sure my dad did. Oh, he's taking that to the grave.
Right.
I don't know if he changed his registration. I know that he did lie to his parents about who he voted for because they're 90 and for what? Why he don't wanna argue at Thanksgiving table. That shit don't change even if you're 75. But I did find something interesting in a group here, though. There were 2, like, warring factions of groups, and you weren't allowed to be in one if you had ever been found to be in the other. And I only found this out because I was searching for local groups to list this treadmill I was trying to sell in, and it was for the town nearby, and I was looking at the community rules, and they were like normal, 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 right? And then like you cannot join if you have ever been in the hate group called such and such. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, maybe they actually mean hate group. Maybe they just don't want Nazis in here or whatever. So I looked it up, and it's just another rummage sale. I need. I have such a powerful need to know what went down.
They should include that in the community rules.
Give me a link, right? Do you have a wiki? This is their Hatfield and McCoy. Maybe it's worth joining just for that.
I'm in a group here in the little town I live in is little, like smaller than BG. Like it's just a couple of square miles, and there's a lot of rich people.
Mm.
Just because that's where it ended up being, and so there's a lot of nosy people on the one for this little town. You get the boom that, and you get all of them that I listed. The missing pet, and they're hilarious.
You know, and I have such a sort of bad feeling about the success rate of those missing pet posts. You see the occasional like reunited or whatever, but Brisket's brother, Gravy, has one of the wildest tales I have ever heard of for a cat. And that sounds right for him, because he really does lead kind of a charmed life. This whole litter, there's just something off about them all. But he liked to get outside, and he's very stupid. So he got out once, and they thought he'll come home when he's hungry, and they didn't see him for days. And then a post popped up in their local Facebook thing, and it said, I this woman, she wrote an essay, and it always is. They always write like 5,000 words about what it is. But in this case, it's warranted because she was driving down what's the road there in Chillicothe that goes towards the paper plant?
23.
Yeah, yeah, going down 23 like highway speed, and the car in front of her, they can see something kind of hanging slash like it would bob in and bob out from under the wheel well and the bumper of the vehicle. She said that she saw this can keep happening, and then all of a sudden a gray and white cat comes flying out of the back of that vehicle at 65 miles an hour or whatever they were doing, and it goes around, hits the ground, bounces up into the air, and goes over the traffic behind her. Then it's like bounces off of a car over into by the berm, like the median there, and she saw it land. So she stopped and she got out and she went over, and saw that it was alive and took it in and took it to the vet, and the vet was like, "Yeah, there's no." I mean, he had like road rash basically, no injuries, nothing wrong with. And but
Wow.
she said, "I don't want to post a picture because somebody will claim him because he's so beautiful. He looks like an expensive cat."
Right.
I think Sabrina saw it, and they contacted her, and they're like, "This is our cat. Does it look anything like that? Ours is missing." And it turned out to be him,
Oh, wow.
just like flying through the air at 65 miles an hour, crashing into concrete, bouncing off of cars. There's an instance of the community Facebook page giving more than it takes. Oscar's asleep on my legs.
Wind is asleep right here beside me. I was just thinking about making some macaroni and cheese. That's my kick recently. The Spiral Craft macaroni and cheese.
You do that like you're like, this is what I'm eating for the next months.
Yeah, this is my personality now. This is who I am. I am Spiral mac and cheese.
I've been eating a lot of nuts and snacks and stuff. I've got to go get a bunch of tests, like pre-surgery tests, and I hope they're not looking for nothing in particular because I am not eating healthy.
Right.
One of these days, I'm gonna have to start taking shit seriously.
But that ain't today.
No, this is not that day. Maybe after surgery, I'll have maybe one day the midlife crisis will be a healthy one instead of, hey, start a podcast.
Right.
This is a pretty good midlife crisis, though, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. We could be in a cracker, motorcycles or something like that.
Yeah. Everybody jokes about like middle-aged white men getting a podcast, like middle-aged white men with mics. I totally agree with that sentiment. Ours is different. Ours is different because nobody listens to it.
Hey, we've got dozens of listeners.
We do have dozens of listeners. Speaking of listeners, thank you for the suggestions that you've left on our Facebook and our threads and our Blue Sky. If you don't have any of those, you can email us at mailbag@queernext.com. Suggest a movie for us, suggest something for the wheel of what have you, tell us a weird story.
Suggest a noun of Appalachian interest if you want.
I'm surprised people haven't taken us up on telling a weird story to have us read on the podcast.
Yeah, for real.
We know y'all have got some weird stories out there.
Just try and beat my ghost horses is all I can say.
Right. Have you ever been struck by lightning? So yeah, we're gonna do some thinking about how to choose a film to review and what that might look like. It's probably gonna now be forewarned, if you suggest a movie for us to review, we're gonna make fun of it. I mean, like, even if it's something we love, like if it's my favorite movie, I'm still gonna make fun of it while I'm watching it, while
Right.
reviewing it, because
Right.
that is just how I'm built.
Exactly.
Whatever, we're not Roger Ebert and
Siskel.
what is Siskel's first name? Does he have a first name?
We'll call him Siskel.
Fuck Siskel. Ebert's the only one that matters. We're more Statler and Waldorf than Siskel and
For
Ebert.
sure.
So if you tell us to review your favorite movie,
Be prepared.
right? If anybody has a suggestion to retract, now would be the time. Like, yeah, we know a lot about cultural theory and stuff, and we'll put some of that in there, but mostly we're just gonna laugh about things.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh about the best version of the best thing that you've ever heard of, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
I don't care how good it is. I still got to laugh about it.
What's the point if you can't?
I mean, if it can't make me laugh, it better be because it's making me cry or something. You know, like
Right.
I'm not against sentiment, or I'm not against earnest things. I like crying too. My favorite is definitely laughing at stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, we could do Battlefield Earth for the one that you haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
That's the one I told you about. Well, that's like Scientology, and it's all shot on a
Gotcha.
Dutch angle.
Yep.
It's almost too bad though. I'm gonna collect them all and put them. I'll organize them, and then we'll think of a way to choose. Might just choose by how our gut feels.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like we are gonna wind up doing at least Muriel's Wedding, just because I would like to watch that.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
You know, like we said, there'll be some laughs at its expense.
Oh, there's
Even
plenty
though
to be had. Muriel, you're terrible.
that rings a bell. Not that I've seen it, but that must be like in the zeitgeist somewhere. I
Yeah.
encountered it.
Yeah.
We could do another Toni Collette film for you and watch Hereditary, but it is a very scary movie in places. This week obviously is Indigenous Peoples Day on Thursday.
I'm gonna be alone for most of the day. My wife has to work, and we don't have a lot of people up here, so, I'm gonna spend the day grading and watching TV, having a good day by myself. Probably cook myself something good to eat that day. 'Cause I all of my family has died except for my one sister, and they're not really talking to me right now, so what do you do?
I remember dreading Thanksgiving every year for years, just knowing how I was gonna feel.
Yeah,
And every year I got more evidence that I was right, which is bad for anxiety.
yeah.
So I guess if you know you're in for something like that, I mean, decide what your business is here and stand on that business. If your business is get in, get out, keep your head down, keep yourself safe until you can go somewhere where you feel safer and you feel loved and you have the things that you need to be healthy, happy, and whole, then stand on that fucking business no matter what anybody says or does. If your business is to cause trouble and fight with your Trumpers, say you got a family of triple Trumpers and you're like Beck and myself, fairly safe, secure, middle-ish class white folk, and you want to argue with those triple Trumpers, stand on that business. Make their lives hell. If you got it in you and it sounds fun to you, as I think it does to a lot of people, this is your candy store, right? Make them rue the day they ever thought that they could get through a holiday without hearing about this shit. But then still do take care of yourself afterwards. Do something fun.
Yeah, do some aftercare.
Right, exactly. That's the word for it, aftercare. And if you're gonna have a lovely time, we love that for you as well.
Yeah.
If you are gonna have a lovely time and you are safe and secure and where you are, maybe see who you can help. We're doing a community meal here, and then my friends are doing a solidarity feast. There's a lot of kids who stay here who can't go home for a lot of reasons, and so they invite them over. We're gonna do that.
Well, that sounds like fun.
I think so, yeah. T-Door was hard. This is the first time in a long time I haven't been with the students for Transgender Day of Remembrance. And it felt bad.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. It's not significant, right? It doesn't mean anything, but it's still like,
It does mean something, at least to me.
yeah, I mean, some things fill you up, and living as a minoritized identity, a marginalized identity under an oppressive system, like there are hard days, there are bad days, but the fact that like those still feel essential to the point that I miss them when I'm not doing them, that tells me something about my community.
Right.
It's significant that we do mourning in such a way that feels communal. It feels collective and loving. We hope that you found a way to support a Transgender Day of Remembrance. And if you've never heard of if this is the first time you're hearing about Transgender Day of Remembrance, it's every year, November 20th. There's a lot of resources out there for it, but I promise you there's one within driving distance of you no matter where you live. They really are in every community. Everywhere there's queer and trans people or their allies, you'll find at least one. And it's a good way to show up for the community if you don't have much else to give. All right, I'll stop being sentimental, but just thinking about those that I know are kind of in for a rough time next week.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves, and you always got us to look forward to on Monday.
Yeah, if you're feeling blue, send us an email.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. If you're just feeling lonely, we can't help, but it's safe to send us an email anyway. We are mandated reporters, so if you tell us about it, I'm so used to giving that disclaimer anytime I tell someone like you can tell me anything. However, if I learn about the abuse or neglect of an elder or a minor, I'm required to report.
Yep.
Anything else though, it's fine. Well, anything else?
I think that's all from Beckland.
Well, everybody take care. Thanks for listening. We'll let y'all know what we decide on movies, and we'll see you next time. Say hi to your mom and them.
Bye.